The first strike. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the window of her observatory in Hawaii, watching as the first fireworks of New Year's Eve painted the sky over the Pacific. The clock read 11:45 p.m., December 31st, and while most of her colleagues had left to celebrate with their families, something kept her rooted to her post at the Mauna Kea Observatory. The anomaly had first appeared 3 days ago, a strange distortion in the upper atmosphere that didn't match any known weather patterns. As the lead atmospheric physicist at the facility, she had spent countless hours analyzing the data, but the readings only grew more puzzling with each passing hour. Dr. Chen. Marcus Rodriguez, her graduate assistant, called from his station at the main computer terminal. "You might want to see this." Sarah pulled herself away from the window and crossed the room, her worn sneakers squeaking against the polished floor. The monitors showed a rapid series of energy spikes emanating from the anomaly, unlike anything they'd recorded before. "When did this start?" she asked, leaning closer to study the readouts. "About 10 minutes ago. And look at this pattern, it's not random. There's a clear sequence repeating every 47 seconds. Sarah's heart began to race. After 15 years in the field, she knew enough to recognize when something was deliberately engineered rather than naturally occurring. "Send this data to NASA and the ESA immediately. And get me General Hammond at Pacific Command." Before Marcus could comply, every screen in the observatory flickered and went dark. The emergency lights kicked on, bathing the room in an eerie red glow. Outside, the fireworks continued to burst against the sky, but now Sarah noticed something else: geometric shapes appearing between the clouds, massive and dark against the star-filled horizon. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. Text messages were pouring in from colleagues around the world. Similar objects were appearing over major cities across the globe, all emerging from identical atmospheric distortions. "It's happening everywhere," Marcus whispered, scrolling through his own phone. "London, Tokyo, Moscow, New York." The objects, ships, Sarah forced herself to acknowledge, began to descend. They moved with impossible grace for their size, which she estimated to be at least half a mile wide each. The fireworks continued below them, the celebrations ignorant of what was unfolding above. In downtown Honolulu, thousands of people gathered for the New Year's countdown suddenly fell silent as they noticed the massive craft overhead. Cell phones pointed skyward, social media exploding with videos and pictures of what many assumed must be an elaborate holiday display. Sarah knew better. She grabbed the secure satellite phone from her desk and dialed General Hammond's direct line. It rang once before connecting. "Dr. Chen," the general's voice was tense. "I assume you're calling about our visitors." "General, the energy readings we're detecting suggest these craft are powered by something far beyond our current understanding of physics. The atmospheric distortions weren't natural phenomena. They were staging areas, points where the fabric of space was being deliberately weakened to allow for their arrival. Do we have any indication of their intentions?" As if in answer to his question, a brilliant beam of light shot down from the nearest ship, striking the center of Honolulu. Instead of the destruction Sarah feared, the beam appeared to be projecting something, a holographic image that filled the sky above the city. The image resolved into a humanoid figure, but one that was clearly not human. Its skin was a pale lavender color, with large, multifaceted eyes that seemed to shift colors as it moved. When it spoke, its words were translated simultaneously into every language on Earth, broadcasting directly into the minds of all who could hear. "People of Earth, we are the collective. For centuries, we have watched your development, waiting for the right moment to make contact. That moment has arrived, though not as we had hoped. We come with a warning: you are all in grave danger." The message continued, but Sarah was already moving. She grabbed her laptop and began downloading all their recent data. If these beings were really here to warn them about a threat, they would need every scrap of information they could gather. Marcus helped her, his hands shaking slightly as they worked. "Dr. Chen, do you think they're telling the truth about the danger?" "I don't know," she answered honestly. But look at the level of technology they're displaying. If they wanted to harm us, they could have done it without warning. The fact that they're trying to communicate suggests their intentions might be genuine. The alien message concluded, and the hologram faded. In its wake, chaos erupted in the streets below. Some people ran for their homes, while others stood transfixed, staring up at the ships with a mixture of fear and wonder. Sarah's satellite phone rang again. This time it was Dr. James Morrison, her former mentor and the current head of NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office. "Sarah, we need you in Washington immediately. We're assembling a team of experts to assess this situation and determine our response. A military transport will be there in 30 minutes to pick you up." She looked at Marcus, who nodded encouragingly. "Go," he said. "I'll keep monitoring things here and send you regular updates." As Sarah gathered her essential materials, she couldn't help but think about how differently she had expected this night to go. She had planned to watch the fireworks, maybe have a glass of champagne, and make the same old resolution to spend less time at work and more time having a life. Instead, she was about to become part of humanity's first official contact with an alien civilization, one that claimed to be here to save them from some even greater threat. The military transport arrived exactly when promised, touching down on the observatory's helipad. As Sarah climbed aboard, she took one last look at the massive ship hovering over Honolulu. New Year's celebrations around the world had transformed into something else entirely, a moment that would forever mark humanity's entry into a larger, more dangerous universe. The helicopter lifted off, banking sharply to avoid the alien craft's massive hull. Sarah clutched her laptop, containing what might be the only detailed scientific readings of the ship's arrival. Whatever was coming, whatever threat the collective had arrived to warn them about, she had a feeling the next few days would determine the fate of everyone on Earth. As they flew east, more ships appeared in the distance, taking up positions over other major cities. The first few hours of the new year would reshape human history forever, and Sarah Chen found herself at the center of it all. In Washington, D.C., where it was nearly 5 a.m. on New Year's Day, the president was being rushed to a secure bunker beneath the White House. Similar scenes played out in capitals around the world as governments struggled to formulate a response to this unprecedented situation. The collective ships maintained their positions, a silent reminder of how powerless Earth's military forces would be if these visitors had hostile intentions. But if they were telling the truth about an impending threat, humanity would need their help, and quickly. Sarah opened her laptop and began reviewing the data again, searching for any clues about what might be coming. The energy signatures from the ships were unlike anything in human physics, operating on principles that seemed to defy the laws of nature as we understood them. One thing was certain, the world that existed before midnight was gone forever. Whatever happened next would determine not just the future of humanity, but perhaps the very survival of Earth itself. As the transport helicopter carried her toward Washington, Sarah thought about Marcus and the millions of other people around the world whose lives had just changed forever. The new year had barely begun, and already it had brought challenges beyond imagination. The collective's warning echoed in her mind: "You are all in grave danger." What could possibly threaten a civilization capable of such advanced technology? The answer to that question terrified her more than the alien ships themselves. Dawn was breaking over the Atlantic as they flew on, the first sunrise of a new era in human history. Sarah Chen, who had spent her career studying the skies, now found herself racing toward a confrontation with forces from far beyond them. The real question wasn't whether humanity was ready for this moment; they had no choice in the matter. The question was whether they could adapt quickly enough to face whatever threat the collective had come to warn them about. As Washington appeared on the horizon, Sarah saw another massive ship positioned over the capital. The new year had arrived with a challenge that would either unite humanity as never before or mark the beginning of its end. Either way, there would be no going back to the world they had known. The future had arrived with the new year, and it carried both promise and peril in its wake. Sarah Chen and countless others around the world would soon discover just how high the stakes really were. The hidden truth. Captain Michael Rivera of the U.S. Space Force stood in the Pentagon's newly established Alien Response Center, studying the massive wall of screens before him. Each display showed live feeds from major cities around the world, all featuring the same imposing sight, the collective ships maintaining their silent vigil over Earth's population centers. It had been 12 hours since their arrival, and the initial panic had given way to an uneasy calm. The aliens had made no further announcements since their warning, but their presence alone had transformed human society overnight. Global markets were suspended, military forces remained on high alert, and people everywhere waited for answers about what danger could be so severe that it prompted this unprecedented intervention. "Captain, Dr. Chen has arrived," Lieutenant Jessica Park announced from behind him. Michael turned to see a petite Asian woman in rumpled civilian clothes, clutching a laptop case like it contained state secrets. Given the circumstances, it probably did. "Dr. Chen, thank you for coming," he said, extending his hand. "I've been reviewing your initial analysis of the atmospheric anomalies that preceded their arrival." Sarah shook his hand firmly, her eyes already drawn to the wall of screens. "Captain Rivera, I hope that data proves useful. Have we had any further communication from the collective?" "Not directly, but our sensors have detected regular energy pulses between their ships. They're clearly coordinating something, but we can't decrypt their transmissions." Before Sarah could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. One of the screens showed a new energy signature appearing over the Pacific Ocean, similar to the distortions that had heralded the collective's arrival, but somehow different. "Multiple anomalies detected," Lieutenant Park called out. "Pattern doesn't match the collective's signatures." The collective's ships suddenly began moving, repositioning themselves in what appeared to be a defensive formation. A new voice filled the global consciousness, different from the first alien transmission, harder, colder, and filled with malice. "Collective vessels, you have violated Quarantine Protocol 09 Alpha. Surrender your ships and withdraw from this system immediately, or face elimination." Michael watched as new ships emerged from the distortions, darker, more angular vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The collective had warned of danger, and now it had arrived. "Get me a secure line to the collective flagship," Michael ordered. "If we're about to become a battlefield, we need answers now." Sarah stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overtaken by urgent concern. "Captain, those new ships, their energy signatures are causing some kind of quantum destabilization effect in our atmosphere. If they engage in combat over populated areas..." She didn't need to finish the thought. Any advanced technology powerful enough to distort spacetime itself would have devastating consequences if used in Earth's atmosphere. The room's main screen flickered, and the lavender-skinned alien from the first transmission appeared. Up close, its features were even more otherworldly, but there was something recognizable in its expression, concern, perhaps even fear. "People of Earth," the being said, "we apologize for bringing this conflict to your world. The entities now appearing are known as the Harvesters. They seek out developing civilizations and consume their resources, both material and biological. We have fought them for millennia, trying to protect worlds like yours." Michael stepped forward. "Why Earth? Why now? Your civilization stands at a crucial junction. Within decades, you would have developed quantum communication technology that would have attracted their attention. We hope to prepare you, to help you advance your defenses before they discovered you. But our own security protocols were compromised. They followed us here." The image shuddered as something impacted the collective ship. Outside, the dark vessels had begun their attack, firing weapons that seemed to tear holes in reality itself. "Captain Rivera," Lieutenant Park called out, "NASA reports massive gravitational disturbances around all major engagement zones. The fabric of spacetime is becoming unstable." Sarah was already typing furiously on her laptop. "The Harvesters' weapons aren't just attacking the collective ships, they're deliberately destabilizing the quantum field around Earth. If they can't have our resources, they're going to make sure no one can use them. The collective leader's image stabilized. We cannot defeat them alone. Your world's militaries must coordinate with us. We can provide you with temporary quantum shields to protect your major population centers, but we need your help to drive them back. Michael looked at Sarah, who nodded grimly. The physics checks out, Captain. Whatever the collective is offering, it's our only chance. Those reality distortion weapons will tear the planet apart otherwise. How do we help? Michael asked the alien leader. We will transmit shield generator specifications to your scientific facilities. Dr. Chen, your understanding of quantum mechanics makes you uniquely qualified to adapt our technology to Earth's power systems. But we must act quickly, the harvesters will not stop until they've destroyed everything. The transmission ended as another attack rocked the collective's flagship. Outside, the dark ships were positioning themselves in an attack formation that would target Earth's largest cities simultaneously. Dr. Chen, you're with me, Michael said, already moving toward the door. Lieutenant Park, coordinate with all available military assets worldwide. Tell them to prepare for receiving technical specifications from the collective. Sarah gathered her materials quickly. We'll need access to the largest particle accelerators on Earth. The quantum shields will require massive amounts of energy focused through precisely calibrated magnetic fields. As they rushed from the command center, the first major battle between the collective and the harvesters began over the Atlantic Ocean. Reality itself seemed to warp and bend as advanced weapons turned spacetime into a weapon. The next few hours would determine whether humanity would survive to see another new year. The collective had arrived as saviors, but their warning had come almost too late. Now, Earth's population could only watch as an ancient conflict played out in their skies, and hope that their planet wouldn't be torn apart in the crossfire. Michael led Sarah to a waiting helicopter, its rotors already spinning up. We're headed to CERN first, he shouted over the noise. They've got the largest particle accelerator on Earth. Sarah clutched her laptop, containing both her original data and the incoming specifications from the collective. The fate of billions now rested on humanity's ability to understand and implement alien technology in a matter of hours. As they lifted off, more harvester ships appeared over major cities worldwide. The collective's vessels moved to intercept them, but they were outnumbered. Without the quantum shields, Earth's population centers would be defenseless against the reality-warping weapons. The race against time had begun, and failure meant not just defeat, but the complete destruction of Earth's quantum stability. The new year had brought humanity face to face with forces beyond their comprehension, and their only allies were aliens they'd met mere hours ago. Sarah opened the collective's technical specifications on her laptop, her mind already working to translate their advanced concepts into something Earth's technology could support. As the helicopter sped toward CERN, she glanced at Captain Rivera, seeing her own mix of determination and fear reflected in his eyes. The world had changed forever with the strike of midnight, but now they had to ensure there would be a world left to change. The true test of humanity's resilience was about to begin, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Behind them, Washington, D.C. disappeared into the distance as the first quantum distortions began to ripple through the atmosphere. The battle for Earth's future had begun, and time was running out. The resistance rises. Dr. Aidan O'Reilly's hands moved swiftly across the controls of CERN's Large Hadron Collider, implementing modifications that would have seemed impossible just 24 hours ago. Beside him, Dr. Sarah Chen called out measurements as they attempted to convert the world's largest particle accelerator into something entirely new, a quantum shield generator. Magnetic field stability at 97%, Sarah announced, her voice tense with concentration. Quantum resonance approaching critical threshold. Captain Michael Rivera stood behind them, coordinating with military forces worldwide through his tactical headset. The situation in the skies above had deteriorated rapidly. The harvesters' reality-warping weapons had already created dozens of quantum instability zones, areas where the laws of physics themselves were beginning to break down. Geneva is seeing temporal distortions, a new voice called out. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, CERN's lead quantum physicist, rushed into the control room with fresh data. We're detecting objects aging hundreds of years in seconds, while others are reverting to their quantum states from decades ago. The shields have to work, Sarah muttered, making another adjustment to the particle beam configuration. If we can't stabilize the quantum field around major population centers. She didn't need to finish the thought. They had all seen the classified footage of what happened when a harvester weapon struck an unshielded area. The devastation wasn't just physical, it unraveled the very fabric of reality. Dr. Chen. Michael called out suddenly. The collective's flagship is requesting direct communication with you. Sarah stepped away from the controls, letting Aiden take over the calibration sequence. The main screen flickered to life, showing the now familiar lavender-skinned being, though its image was distorted by interference. Dr. Chen, we've detected your attempts to modify your particle accelerator, the alien said. There's something crucial you must understand. The shield technology we provided, it's not just defensive. When properly tuned, it can be turned into a weapon against the harvester's quantum destabilization fields. Sarah's mind raced with the implications. You're saying we could use the shields to push back against their attacks? Actually reverse the damage they're causing? Precisely. But it requires a level of quantum manipulation that your species hasn't achieved yet. We can guide you, but implementing the necessary changes would require simultaneous coordination between multiple particle accelerators worldwide. How many? Michael asked, already thinking about logistics. A minimum of 5, positioned strategically around the planet. And they would need to be synchronized down to the quantum level, a feat your technology isn't designed to achieve. Aiden spoke up from the controls. What about quantum entanglement? CERN has been experimenting with entangled particles for communication. If we could scale it up. Yes. Sarah turned to Michael. Captain, we need to contact every major particle physics facility on Earth. Brookhaven, DC, KEK, JNR, anyone with a working accelerator. We're going to build a quantum network. The collective leader's image flickered again as another battle raged overhead. We will provide what assistance we can, but our ships are being pushed back. The harvesters have adopted a new strategy, they're targeting Earth's magnetic field directly. If it collapses, all electronic technology would fail, Yuki finished, her face pale. We'd be defenseless. Michael was already issuing orders through his headset. This is Captain Rivera initiating Global Defense Protocol Alpha. I need secure lines to all participating facilities and military escort for any key personnel being transported. Sarah turned back to the controls, her mind working through the quantum mechanics involved. They would need to create a planet-wide network of entangled particles, using the accelerators to amplify and direct the quantum effects. It was theoretically possible, but nothing like it had ever been attempted. Dr. O'Reilly, she called out, begin the entanglement sequence. Dr. Tanaka, calculate the optimal positioning for the quantum relays. We need perfect synchronization between all facilities. As they worked, reports kept coming in from around the world. The harvesters' attacks were becoming more strategic, targeting key infrastructure and military installations. The collective ships fought back desperately, but they were outnumbered and taking heavy damage. In the skies above CERN, reality itself seemed to bend and twist as quantum weapons tore holes in the fabric of spacetime. The facility's reinforced bunkers protected them from the worst effects, but they could feel the vibrations of nearby reality distortions. First entanglement sequence successful, Aiden announced. Brookhaven is reporting quantum sync at 82% and rising. Sarah watched the readings carefully. They would only get one chance at this. If they could create a global network of quantum shields and turn them into weapons, they might be able to drive back the harvesters. If they failed, Earth's quantum field would collapse entirely, reducing the planet to a state of chaotic probability where the laws of physics themselves would break down. Dr. Chen, the collective leader's voice came through again, weaker now. Our flagship has sustained critical damage. We're losing our ability to maintain the quantum barrier around your population centers. Whatever you're attempting, it must be done within the next hour. Michael stepped closer to the main console. What happens in an hour? The harvesters will achieve critical mass with their reality-warping weapons. The damage to your planet's quantum field will become irreversible. Earth will experience a total quantum collapse. Sarah looked at her team, Baden with his hands dancing across the controls, Yuki coordinating with facilities across the globe, and Michael maintaining the military network that kept them all connected. They had 1 hour to save not just humanity, but the very reality they inhabited. Begin final synchronization sequence, she ordered. Redirect all available power to the particle beams. We're going to show these harvesters what happens when you threaten our world. As the massive accelerators powered up around the globe, Sarah thought of Marcus back in Hawaii, still monitoring the skies. She thought of all the people watching this battle unfold, not fully understanding the stakes involved. One way or another, the next hour would determine the fate of everything they knew. The quantum network was humanity's last hope, a desperate plan born from the fusion of human ingenuity and alien technology. As reality itself hung in the balance, Sarah Chen and her unlikely team prepared to make their stand against forces that threatened not just their lives, but the very fabric of existence itself. Above them, the battle continued to rage, but soon they would join that fight. The resistance wasn't just rising, it was about to go quantum. Quantum counterstrike. Marcus Rodriguez stood at his station in the Mauna Kea Observatory, coordinating with the Global Quantum Network team. In the hours since Dr. Chen's departure, he'd watched the situation deteriorate from scientific curiosity to existential crisis. Now, he was about to play a crucial role in humanity's most ambitious technological undertaking. Hawaii Facility, Status Report, Dr. Chen's voice crackled through the quantum-encrypted communication channel. Particle alignment at 94%, Marcus responded, checking the readings from the hastily constructed quantum relay. Entanglement synchronization holding steady at 89%. The observatory had been transformed into one of the 5 crucial nodes in Earth's desperate bid for survival. The particle accelerator parts had been airlifted in by military transport, assembled by a team of physicists and engineers working at unprecedented speed. Marcus, listen carefully, Sarah's voice was tense but focused. When we activate the quantum network, you'll have exactly 47 seconds to calibrate the Hawaiian node. If any of the 5 nodes are out of alignment, the entire network will collapse. He glanced at the countdown timer on his screen, 15 minutes until quantum collapse became irreversible. Outside, the battle between the collective and the harvesters had reached a fever pitch. Reality itself seemed to be unraveling, trees aging to dust in seconds, rain falling upward, and random objects phasing in and out of existence. Dr. Rodriguez, a new voice joined the channel, Captain Rivera from the Pentagon. We're detecting a massive energy buildup in the harvester fleet. They know what we're trying to do. Marcus switched to the observatory's external cameras. The dark ships were repositioning, their reality-warping weapons charging for what looked like a coordinated strike. The collective's remaining vessels moved to intercept them, but they were badly outnumbered. All nodes, begin final preparation sequence, Sarah commanded. Captain Rivera, we need 10 minutes of clear sky above each facility. Whatever the collective has left, we need their help now. The response came not from Rivera, but from the collective's leader, its voice weak but determined. We will give you your 10 minutes, Dr. Chen. But know this, what you're attempting has never been successfully achieved by any civilization we've encountered. The quantum harmonics must be perfect. Marcus watched as the collective ships launched what appeared to be their final offensive. They were sacrificing themselves to give Earth's quantum network its chance. The sight filled him with both hope and terror. These advanced beings were willing to die for a plan that they themselves thought might be impossible. Hawaii node, initiating quantum fold, he announced, pushing aside his emotions to focus on the task at hand. The particle accelerator hummed to life, its energy signature linking with the other 4 nodes around the planet. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's voice came through from CERN, quantum entanglement reaching critical threshold. All nodes, prepare for synchronization. The next few minutes were a blur of activity as Marcus and teams at 4 other facilities worked to align their quantum fields. They were attempting something that should have taken years of preparation, forcing it into existence through desperate necessity and determination. 5 minutes to quantum collapse, Captain Rivera warned. Harvester ships are launching their final attack run. Through the observatory windows, Marcus could see reality literally tearing apart. The quantum instabilities were reaching critical mass, creating zones where physics itself ceased to function normally. If they failed, these zones would expand until they covered the entire planet. All nodes reporting ready, Sarah's voice cut through the chaos. Marcus, begin your countdown. Remember, 47 seconds exactly. Marcus took a deep breath and initiated the sequence. The particle accelerator's hum rose to a fever pitch as it began generating the quantum field that would link with the other nodes. On his screen, 4 other progress bars moved in perfect synchronization with his own. 30 seconds to full quantum harmonization, he called out. Field stability at 97% and holding. The Harvester ships had broken through the collective's last defense line. Their reality-warping weapons were charging for what would be a planet-killing barrage. But if the quantum network succeeded, those same weapons would be turned against them. 20 seconds, Marcus announced. The quantum field was becoming visible now, a shimmering curtain of energy that rippled like the aurora borealis. Similar fields were forming at each of the other nodes, reaching out to connect with each other. Harvester weapons at critical charge. Rivera's voice was urgent. 10 seconds to firing. Quantum harmonization at 99%, Marcus reported, his hands steady on the controls despite the chaos around him. 5 seconds to network completion. The world seemed to hold its breath as the final seconds ticked down. The Harvesters fired their reality-warping weapons just as the quantum network reached full power. What happened next would be studied by scientists for generations to come, assuming humanity survived to study anything at all. The 5 quantum fields merged into a single, planet-encompassing shield at the exact moment the Harvester weapons struck. But instead of tearing reality apart, the weapon's energy was caught in the quantum field, amplified, and reflected back at the dark ships. Network holding. Sarah's voice was triumphant. All nodes, maintain your positions. Captain Rivera, tell the collective to clear the engagement zone. Marcus watched in awe as the Harvesters' own weapons were turned against them. Their reality-warping energy, caught in Earth's quantum field, created a feedback loop that transformed their ships into quantum singularities, literally erasing them from existence. It's working. Yuki called from CERN. The quantum instabilities are beginning to stabilize. The Harvester fleet is being neutralized. One by one, the dark ships vanished, their own weapons becoming their undoing. The few remaining collective vessels moved to safe distances, avoiding the quantum backlash that was cleansing Earth's skies. But they weren't finished yet. The quantum network had to be maintained until every trace of reality distortion was eliminated. Marcus kept his attention focused on the controls, ensuring the Hawaiian node remained in perfect alignment with the others. Quantum field integrity at 100%, he reported. Beginning stabilization of local spacetime distortions. Around the world, the chaos began to subside. Reality reasserted itself as the quantum network neutralized the damage caused by the Harvesters' weapons. Trees returned to their proper age, rain fell in the right direction, and the laws of physics settled back into their normal patterns. All Harvester signatures neutralized, Captain Rivera confirmed. The collective reports no signs of remaining quantum instabilities. Sarah's voice came through one last time, well done, everyone. Maintain the network for another 30 minutes to ensure complete stabilization. We just made history, and saved our world in the process. Marcus finally allowed himself to breathe normally again. Through the observatory windows, he could see the sunrise beginning, the first normal sunrise since the harvesters had arrived. They had done the impossible, turning particle accelerators into weapons that saved not just humanity, but reality itself. The quantum network hummed steadily, its shimmering field now a protective barrier around the entire planet. Earth had not only survived its first major interstellar conflict, it had emerged stronger, armed with technology that would change the course of human history. As Marcus continued monitoring his station, he couldn't help but smile. Somewhere in Geneva, he knew Sarah Chen was doing the same thing. They had faced the impossible and won, proving that humanity's greatest strength wasn't just its technology or determination, but its ability to unite and innovate in the face of extinction. The new year was less than 24 hours old, and already it had brought humanity face to face with both its greatest threat and its greatest achievement. Whatever came next, Earth would never be the same, and neither would the humans who had fought to save it.